Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the podcast. I am Josh,
Brian.
And Matt.
and this is the Cows Den Podcast, woohoo, where we talk about nerdy shit. We talk about, you know, all kinds of stuff from comics to pop culture to Brian's lovely fringe type stuff. And yeah, so I will start today. I'm going to start by talking. I've actually talked about this last time, but I'm going to go a little more into it. I finished reading the first book of Star Wars The High Republic. The first book's called The Light of the Jedi. I'm not going to lie, it starts off kind of slow, but it ends really well, dude. I thought it was really cool. So the whole point is Coruscant's the center of the universe, or like their universe. Coruscant is like mentioned in Clone Wars. They it's the city that Amidala is on. All that it's like a planet that's entirely a city. It gets taken over by the Sith at one point, but I'm not going into all that. So this is 200 years before everything. It is like amazing city Central Planet. The idea of the first book is that they're trying to set up the Starlight beacon, which is just a giant space station that's gonna like go to the edges of space so that they can have better contact with the outer rim. So that the people on the outer rim don't feel like they're like neglected by the Republic. They can kind of have contact with them. They can help them with stuff quicker. It's just a big old, like a big relay, big relay for them so that they can have more contact with the outer rim. Before all this happens, though, like at the beginning of the book, this ship is traveling through hyperspace to get towards the edge of the outer rim, and the whole point of hyperspace is that there's nothing else in hyperspace, so you don't have to worry about dodging or hiding or like swerving out of the way of stuff because it's pre-built lanes that are like completely empty because it kind of works on another plane of
I've
existence,
never
dude.
seen that before in Star Wars, at least.
Well, that's when he's all Chewy, punch it, and he
Yeah.
goes all.
Right,
Anyway,
right, right.
anyway, the thing is though is the ship is going through hyperspace, just doing its normal thing, and suddenly another ship comes through hyperspace like it's not supposed to. It comes through like at an angle, and they're just like, "Oh shit, we can't do anything." And so they try to fix themselves to get out of the way, which is incredibly difficult going at hyperspace speeds, and at screws them. They try to fix to get out of the way, and suddenly the ship just comes apart. Everybody in it dies. Spoiler alert. Um, that causes because the ship breaks apart in hyperspace. It causes pieces of the ship to start showing up randomly throughout the galaxy because pieces will come out of hyperspace at some random position. Um, it goes through all kinds of stuff of a piece comes out and just shatters part of a planet. Piece comes out and destroys the space station. Um, so then you find out that there is this group of they want to say not pirates, but they're space pirates. I don't know what the fuck else you want to call them. They're called the Nihil or the Nile. I don't. I've heard them called the Nihil. It's Nihil. So I've heard them called the Nihil. I've heard them called the Nile. But what you kind of find out without spoiling too much is that they actually chart. They know how to chart lanes in hyperspace, so they know how to kind of bend the rules of hyperspace. And again, spoiling here a little bit, they are responsible for the ship that kind of came out and destroyed the other ship that caused all this mess. So one part I thought was cool is that one of them knows the next path, so he knows where one of the pieces is going to come out. So he holds this planet kind of hostage. He says, "Hey, guess what? I know where three of these pieces are going to come out that are right here on you. One of them's going to fly right past you, maybe kill 100 people. It's going to hit one of your space stations. One of them's going to go over here some I don't know over here somewhere, and then the other one is going to go into your moon, which is inhabited by 1.2 billion people." He says, "So if you give me $50 million, I'll tell you where they are and we'll stop them."
That's it.
And she's like the woman he's talking to, like the governor of the planet or whatever it is, president planet, whatever. She's like, I don't fucking believe you. You're fucking stupid. And so he goes, well, watch. And so he pulls the ship up to one of the spots. A piece comes out, they destroy it, no problem. And he goes, see, we know exactly where they're coming. Now the next one's coming. Give us our money. And she doesn't. She still is like, I don't. I think you're full of shit. I think you just happen to know something, and I think you're messing with me. So the next one comes, destroys their space station, kills like a couple hundred people. And he's like, all right, seriously, this last one is going to come. It's going to hit your moon. It's going to kill 1.2 billion people. Give us the money now, and we'll stop it. So
That
she
cheap
finally,
bitch.
so she
50 million
finally,
is nothing.
so she finally caves and gives them the money. And
About
so they
time.
they zoom over to try to stop the last one, and then they fuck up and miss it, and it still hits the moon and destroys 1.2 billion people. And so they're just like, and so they're like, shit, let's get out of here. Let's just run, just run. Let's get out of here and run. We take the money and run. And so they do, but like that's where they're like, well, shit. Now the Republic's gonna know about us. Now they know who we are, what's going on. They know that we know about they call them resurgence, or I think they call them resurgences. I'm not sure where they're gonna come out again. So we need to fucking book it out of here. We need to lay low. But then of course their like leader, one of their leader guys is like, no, we're not gonna lay low. We're gonna keep hitting them hard. Um, that's kind of where it goes. I don't want to go through the whole story, but that's kind of like the gist of what's happening is like this pirate group is kind of growing. They're getting bigger and they get noticed by the High Republic. Um, and so the High Republic is trying to stop them while still stopping all the pieces that are coming out of hyperspace while also getting their Starlight beacon going. Okay. So that's the gist of the story. There's a lot to it, but it's like that's kind of the gist of it. Yeah, so I read the first book. First book was actually really good. Light of the Jedi was really good. I started reading the Into the Dark book, which is the Light of the Jedi is considered the adult book. Into the Dark is considered the young adult book, like the Harry Potter age kind of teen kind of book. Um, and then they have A Test of Courage, which is considered like the kids' book, which I have not read that one yet. But I'm in the middle of Into the Dark right now. Into the Dark is a story that takes place in the same timeline, but it's an entirely different story. This is a about a Padawan who has lived on Coruscant his whole life. He's like a hardcore, like I can't think of the word. I don't want to say archaeologist because that's not right. Like he likes to read about the history of everything. He likes to study the history of everything. He doesn't do much adventuring for a Jedi Padawan. He just likes to kind of learn. And then his Jedi Master tells him, "No, we're going to go up to Starlight Beacon. This is what we're going to do now." Um, he's obviously pissed. He doesn't want to do that, but he has to. That's what his Jedi told him to do, so he has to do it. On his way to the Starlight Beacon is when all this shit goes down, and his ship magically they manage to change coordinates and completely bail out of hyperspace before they hit the ship and everything that's going on. Um, so they bail out of hyperspace, but because of that, they're just thrown into some random nowhere. So they find this space station that appears to be like centuries old, like millennia old, like they're talking thousands of years old. But it's still up and running somehow. So they all just dock on the space station and kind of wait for the main problem to go away. And like I said, I'm about halfway through that one, and they're discovering that there's a lot of dark force energy inside this space station. They're not the only ones there either. There's like 10 different ships that got screwed out of the hyperspace thing, and so they all had to dock on this space station. So it's like 10 different species who are all stuck on the same space station. Some of them hate each other, some of them don't care about each other, some of them like they're fighting internally while also trying to deal with whatever's going on with the like dark side stuff that's going on in the space station. And that's as far as I've gotten on that. That one's cool just because it seems like it's like I like the idea of them taking a different story and it's still built into the same timeline. Um, Okay, and then the other thing I was wanting to talk about, I've been kind of behind on my comic book reviews that I've been doing on my blog here because I've been stuck reading that Star Wars book and I've got hooked on Invincible. I actually never read Invincible back when it first came out, but I started reading it lately because I got super hyped with the new show that's coming out on Amazon.
Man, that
And
book's really good. I wish I'd gotten it too.
and dude, and I'm officially 14 issues in. So for anybody who's listening who's read the whole thing, I'm sure you're gonna know what I'm gonna talk. I'm talking about. I'm not gonna spoil too much. Anybody who has not read it, oh, I highly recommend it. I'm 14 issues in, and I can't stop reading it. Like I plowed through 14 issues in like 2 or 3 days because I just couldn't stop reading it. It's so good.
Hey, you want to
Uh,
hear an interesting side note?
yeah, what's up,
Many years ago, uh, what's his name? The writer,
Kirkman?
yeah, Kirkman. He, ironically, one of my most unrated movies, comic book, well, superhero movies. Uh, he said that Sky High was an inspiration to him, and that part of what he got from that, definitely inspired him for the book Invincible.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, you can totally see. I mean, it's not like a superhero high school, but he's in
No,
high
that's
school.
okay.
He's a superhero and this and that.
But
And
the struggles that he has with his dad and everything.
yes, oh
That's what I was
yeah,
getting ready to ask.
which
You're talking about the movie.
show? It's
Yeah,
an animated
like
show that's coming out.
yeah,
Oh no,
but
no,
but
no. But
he's
Sky
saying
High.
Oh,
Kirkman,
okay.
yeah, Kirkman, the struggle
Drew
that
inspiration from it, right?
yeah, Drew inspiration with this kid's struggle with his dad being the equivalent of Superman, basically, and that's he pulled some
Right,
of that to build the story arc for Invincible, which is not it's not a rip off or anything, but
right. Of course,
drew
inspiration.
inspiration
Yeah,
from that.
right.
Yeah,
Um, dude, and so yeah, to tell you a little bit of the backstory, Mark Grayson is invincible. He's the kid, he's the main person in the story. His dad is Nolan Grayson, who is called Omni Man. He was kind of like the first real superhero to show up in Earth, and he tells his son about the fact that he is actually an alien from the planet Viltrum. His planet was so prosperous that they grew technologically, they grew physically, they grew so advanced that they were so harmonious that they wanted to expand and they wanted to show their advanced technology to other planets, help them get up to speed, try to help them advance their civilizations quicker. And so they like perfected their technique. They were running around all the kinds of different planets throughout all kinds of different solar systems, and then finally he chose to go to Earth. Um, and when he got there, he fell in love with this woman. He, then had a kid, and that's kind of where they're at now. Um, so without spoiling too much, though, issues 11 and 12 are some of the most badass comics I've ever read in my life. Like no joke, because
Kirkman's writing is
uh,
amazing. I mean, anything that he does is his writing is just so good.
so Brian, Matt, I don't
Hmm.
know if you guys have
No,
read
go
it.
ahead, go ahead, go ahead,
Brian, if you don't
go
mind,
ahead.
I am just gonna go ahead and spoil some of it. Issue 11, and for readers who haven't read it yet, I highly recommend checking it out. If you haven't read it yet, listeners, I guess listeners, if you haven't read it yet, spoilers. Um, his dad is not actually, I mean, he is an alien, but the planet was not actually sent there to help prosper, help raise the people. He was sent there to conquer all these planets and if basically convert these planets to following their way. And if they don't want to, if they resist, then they just destroy the planet. And like dude, he just goes into describing like he's like, "Dude, you're my son." He goes, "My blood is so pure that I don't even if I had you with a crazy alien species, you've got my blood. Like it's gonna be you're gonna grow to be thousands of years old. You're not gonna die. You're going to watch this whole world crumble and die before you die." He's like, "So join me, like this is what he kind of reveals his whole thing. He's like, "So join me and we'll fucking destroy this world." And dude, he's like, "Yeah, of course." He's grown up there. He's like, "No, I'm not gonna do that." And then they just, dude, all of issue 12, all of issue 11 is him describing what is actually happening, and all of issue 12 is them just fighting back and forth, and it is bloody, it is gruesome, it is they destroy cities, like
Yeah,
it's
I'd say
nuts.
the only other comparable fight, in my opinion, is World War Hulk when Sentry fights Hulk. Both those two, that fight and the Invincible and his dad, man, those two are both the
Dude,
most
like
brutal fights on Earth between two superheroes, and I completely agree. In my opinion,
dude,
like
it
it's
was
so awesome.
he punched he straight up says he's like, "Look, one punch from me killed over 100,000 or like thousands of people. Like I punched you, you flew through all this shit, and then we killed thousands of people with that one punch." He's like, "These guys are nothing. They're insects to me." And the kid, like Mark is even like, "No, but you told me that you love mom." And he's like, "Yeah, I don't fucking love your mom. Your mom's a piece of shit. She's like an insect to me." And it's like that's when he just kind of snaps and starts fighting back. But dude, he gets his ass beat. He gets his ass beat to the point of almost being dead. And then and that's when the dad is he's like, "So what do you know, what's the point in you sticking around? What's the point in you wanting to do this? Because you're gonna die or they're all gonna die. So why would you want to stick around here? Like when the world is done, what will you have?" And he looks at him, he's like, "I'll have you, Dad. I'll have you." And he just so he's about to beat him to death and he just freaks out and bails. So as where I'm at, Omni Man has bailed. He's just zoomed out into space, ran away because he didn't want to kill his own son, apparently. Oh, it's so good though, man. The way it's done, the way it is
Isn't
explained.
it Amazon that's doing it?
Amazon is
And
doing it, and
I
it's
mean,
an
look at the
animated show,
boys. Look at the boys, though. I mean, I'll give it to Amazon. They've got a good track record,
right?
um, that they've established with comic books, story arcs. So
Right,
I'm totally enthralled with it, just like you, man. Because like
dude.
when Walking Dead, when the show came out, I decided to get onto everything that Kirkman did, and that's one of my
Dude, I'm so
favorite
mad at
movies that he
myself for
did.
not getting into it a
Oh
long
man,
time ago. Like,
yeah.
hey,
And I mean, you
but I'm
can't even
so
get the
pumped to be
first
able to read
issue.
it now. Right,
Yeah.
right.
I mean,
Um,
it's just yeah, it's
yeah,
so good
it's
though.
so good. So I was
And
actually gonna. Sorry, go ahead.
he's one of the most under, and I know it sounds crazy, but he's one of the most underrated, underappreciated writers. Like
Yeah,
everybody knows him for The Walking Dead, but man,
right.
they're gonna start knowing him for Invincible because like if you like The Walking Dead, he this is a traditional, untraditional comic book story, and in
Yeah,
my opinion, one of the best homemade, independent, grown superheroes and
because
superhero
because
stories.
it's got a few of the cliches in there, of course,
Yeah,
because it's a superhero
yeah,
story. But the way, even those, the way it's done is just
yeah.
he does it in a significantly different way that it feels relatable while also feeling like
New,
crazy out there. Like,
new.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
But dude, it is so good. And if you have not read it yet, if you have not read Invincible, I 100% recommend it. It is, I'm like I said, I'm 14 issues in. There's 144 issues, and I'm so freaking pumped to read the rest of it, man. Like I cannot put it down.
So is the series done? They just turned it into a
Yes, this
okay.
the comic series has been done for I think a couple years now. I think it was 2015, 2016, something like that. Maybe 2018. I don't know. But yes, it's been done for. Oh, it looks like final issue was 2018. Or no, I'm sorry, ended in 2017, late 2017. All right. I was gonna do a little bit more, but I hit my time pretty quick here, so I'm gonna go ahead and pass it off to Brian.
No,
Go ahead and get started, buddy. I'm here, but if you're watching the video, if you can catch the video, I might step away for just a quick second, but I can still hear you guys. So go ahead.
so I'm going to talk about CERN and its Large Hadron Collider and the Mandela Effect.
Oh,
So, for those who don't know, CERN is the European Organization for Nuclear Research. It's in right around France-Swiss border. So they run the world's largest machine. It is the particle. It's
the Hadron Collider or whatever,
the
right? Yeah,
Hadron Collider, smashing
that's
particles.
only thing that I can, and this is gonna be kind of dumb. The only reason that I even know what that is because of the Big Bang Theory. To be honest with you,
Really?
yeah,
Well,
they talk about it quite a bit in that.
like
It'll
good
go
kinds
details.
or
Yeah, well, it's because they're scientists, so of course they want to
right,
know about
right,
it. They want to go visit.
right.
I think at one point one of them gets a chance to go visit it, but he doesn't know who to pick from the rest of the crew to go.
Right.
So that's all. I
So,
mean, I don't know exactly what it does, but yeah, they mention it.
so right. It is the world's largest and highest energy particle collider. It's the biggest machine in the entire world. So
Nice.
it's in a 17-mile long tunnel that's about 580 feet below ground.
Shit.
It's right around the French-Swiss border, but basically they use it to try to study the nature of particles that make up matter. And they've been trying, well, they didn't try, they did. The main reason they wanted to do it was try to find the God particle. Now they did find the God particle. I think it was 2013 when they discovered it. It was just a theory before that, but now they have found it.
Shit.
And basically, the God particle gives mass to matter. And so before, basically, that's just a little history on the Hadron Collider and CERN. But before they even turned this thing on, there was a lot of people that were concerned because they didn't know what was going to happen once they turned it on. There were theories that they were going to make many black holes, that they'd be able to view other dimensions, that they could merge realities, which is where we're going after that.
I love that theory. I love the theory of
Yeah,
multiple universes. The theory of
and
I love that. I
oh,
just love it so
right, the
much.
whole idea that you made a decision in our world, but some other world you made the opposite decision, and then all those different outcomes came from that, which that's cool and scary at the same time. Um, where is it? Where is it? So, oh yeah, that's what I was gonna do. So I forgot about my pictures. Where did they all go? Son of a bitch. I had them pulled up. Oh, I'll just do it this way. So this is the CERN logo.
Okay.
Now, it's not anything crazy. It's nothing fancy or anything like that. But a lot of people see nefarious things behind the CERN or with the CERN logo, and I will pull that up.
So again, for anybody who's listening, not watching, it looks like just some circles kind of thrown together in a way. But yeah, I'm sure you're gonna describe what the craziness of it is.
Right. I guess if I have those up for too long, they go away. So, okay, look at that. This is
Oh,
somebody else's little, where you can kind of see there how they view
yeah.
it in a certain way.
Okay.
Now, so this is what some people think that it actually
Oh,
turns into is 666.
so yeah, it looks like three different circles with lines coming out in the way that makes it almost look like a six. So that if you like unroll
Almost,
them,
that's not the
yeah.
white power thing, but that's what I mean. Yeah.
I
Damn
mean,
it.
I don't even get where that came from. That's
I don't
okay to
either.
me.
I
That's
don't
okay
either.
to me.
Yeah,
I mean, but
perfect.
Oh,
Did they
whatever.
did they
I mean,
get
it's
rid
just
of
like
the
the V, you know. During World War II, everybody was like victory,
oh
and
yeah,
now it actually
victory.
means fuck you in England.
What?
Yeah,
In
fuck you,
England?
mate. Yeah, or in Great Britain. Yeah.
Well,
So it
I
used to be victory
those
for World War II, but now it means fuck you.
Wow.
It's
those
like the middle
idiots.
finger now.
Anyway, off track there.
No, that's
Yeah,
good. That's what
I
we're
could see that
supposed to
though.
do that. Another thing they have there, screen sharing has stopped as a shared window is closed. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, it's good to know it does that though.
But
All
I could
right.
see
So,
that. I could see how that
right,
could turn into a 666 type of thing. You just kind of
right,
unroll each one, and it looks like yeah.
right. Here's Shiva. Now,
Shiva,
Shiva is the
Shiva
goddess
Kamini
of.
Samakandakura. Sorry,
Let's see if you did. I wonder if that pulls. Do you guys see this too?
I just see Shiva.
Cool. All right. So we're learning stuff now.
Shiva
Perfect.
Kamini
But
Samakandakura.
yeah, so Shiva is the goddess of destruction
Mm-hmm.
and creation. So a lot of people think that the Large Hadron Collider is, even though they say it's being used, like they have Shiva statue there, that they're trying to use it to create the God particle and learn about mass and matter and photons and all that other fun stuff. But they also think that it's kind of a double entente for Shiva being the goddess of destruction.
Oh.
Now, so like I was saying earlier, they never really knew what was going to happen when they first turned it on. And that's what I was saying. Black holes, portals opening, other stuff like that. So
Multiple dimensions and stuff. That'd be cool. Oh, I
the
wish
first, oh man, yeah, definitely. But so the first time they turned it on was in September of '08.
oh.
Now
the
everything went,
Hadron
yeah, the
collider.
Hadron Collider,
Okay.
yes.
There's
Sorry.
no, you're
And
good.
everything went fine. Everything was good. But then a week after that, there was a big incident where they basically there's a lot of destruction. A bunch of the magnets exploded, and they had to stop, fix everything, make sure they got all their ducks in a row, which took almost a whole other year to get to that point. So then the second time was in November of '09,
Okay.
and everything went okay. Everything was fine. And in December of '09, this thing popped up in the skies over North Norway, which is very close to where CERN is located. Let me pull it up.
It's dope. It looks cool.
So
Whoa.
that's that.
Wait,
Now,
what?
actually, I'll see if I can, since this is all new to me. Let's try.
Picture's slightly blurry, but
Yeah, no, well,
we get the
I'll
idea.
see if I can actually do this. Now, because it gives you the, okay. So here's the video itself.
Oh, okay. Wait, so this actually happened like this?
Yes, and there was many hundreds, well, thousands of people saw it. They watched it.
Holy shit.
Everybody had their phones out,
It's like
and
smoke rings.
it's in northern Norway.
It's like giant smoke
It was
rings
like a
happening.
mountainous type of town. So eventually, like now, supposedly, who was it? I want to say it was Russia, or I don't know. Their excuse was that it was a rocket launch that failed,
Yeah, right. Look at this
and
thing. Right.
well, they'll try that. You know what they try to think of the
Yeah.
simplest
Well, I
explanation.
mean, yeah, you could think about it spiraling out right there in the
Yeah,
middle there. It's just sitting here freaking out and then sending out further smoke clouds or whatever. I can
right.
try to buy that, but it's
It's kind of got
so
it's a little aura going
perfectly
on.
done.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
know I think I talked about that, maybe not on this, but the whole
Mhm.
Fibonacci spiral.
Oh yeah,
Fibonacci?
you've
Yeah,
talked about that. Talked to me about that. Yeah, you told me about
Fibonacci.
that. Yep.
Oh, okay. So
Dang though.
that was
That's
that.
cool.
So when that happened, they do now. People think that maybe perhaps our reality was merged with another reality, which that in turn created the Mandela effect.
So where the hell oh Shazam with the Shaquille O'Neal
Yes,
where
yes,
he was
okay,
or not Shaquille.
right.
No, it wasn't Shaquille because Shaquille was in Kazam, but they Shazam with oh what's his name?
Shaquille
Sinbad.
O'Neal.
Sinbad.
Well,
So this
everybody thought, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Shazam with Sinbad, where he's
Yeah,
a genie, and it never really happened. But there's all these pictures, all these like things of people being like, "No, it's right here.
right.
What are you talking about?" But the video is does not exist.
So that's kind of where we go from there.
So maybe the video does exist, Brian.
Well, there's some people that say they do, it does, and that's the whole reality is that when that happened, two different realities became one, and that's why. So
Shit.
Mandela effect is basically what science says are false memories, which can be tied to the whole idea that like when you remember something, you don't remember the last time you did it. You remember the last time you remembered it, which is how things kind of change when you forget this and that happened, but it didn't, or it was this color and it wasn't. But it all started because Nelson Mandela died in 2013. Now, there are hundreds of thousands of people that swear he died while he was still in prison in the 1980s. So
Okay.
that's when this whole this is when the effect kind of became known and started to become popular. But I did pull up some things that we can watch and or look at and watch, so we can kind of
So
see.
that is kind of the main point of the Department of Truth comic is
Is
that
it
if enough people believe it's real and believe it happened this way, then it's real and it happened this way.
right?
So yeah,
Okay, so
I
I'm
mean
gonna
that's a dumbed down version of it, but yeah,
right, right. So Looney Tunes. How do you guys remember it being spelled?
Looney. I'm gonna say tunes like the way they do with Fruit Loops. I'm gonna say Lootoo.
No,
Right.
it's TUNES.
Ah,
Well, you see,
so I remember it as tunes like cartoons, like Lou.
yeah, like why wouldn't
Oh,
so Looney Tunes? I mean, it's a cartoon. Why
right,
would they spell it like this? Yeah, a tune is something you hear, but it's a cartoon and they're loony.
right.
So I remember it the same way, Josh. I remember it being like that. I remember
Oh,
Looneytons,
yeah.
but
Dude, like
supposedly,
the Bernstein Bears.
yep, that was my next one. I was getting ready to pull that up too.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I don't care. So the Berenstein Bears. I remember Berenstein, not
Yeah,
Berenstain.
Berenstain. No, I
Yeah,
remember
me too.
So
Berenstain.
Matt, you remember
Berenstain
it being the
Bears.
first
Yeah,
one?
Yeah. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
me too.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
it blew
all
my
these pictures,
mind.
yeah,
Yeah.
all these pictures, the one on the left is going to be the one
That's fake.
that most people remember, and the one on the right is the way
What?
they say it really is.
No,
What's that?
because it's Berenstain Bears.
I know.
It ain't
Well,
Berenstain Bears. It's Berenstain Bears.
not no more.
Berenstain Bear.
Now,
Wow. So you're saying it's
us
Einstein?
Einstein. Yeah.
Oh,
So what?
No, my biggest one I remember is that Shazam because everybody was like, no, there's pictures of a VHS, there's pictures of like scenes from
it's
the movie, and then
And they
everybody's like, yeah,
faked
but
that
there's no
too.
fucking movie. Like, there's
Josh.
no movie.
This is gonna sound so abstract, but the one that always jumps out to me is Febreze.
Yeah.
Febreze
I
is
was gonna do that one.
with one E.
Febreze.
Well, I always thought it was two E's.
I did.
Oh
Febreeze.
no, see,
Absolutely.
that's one
I
I
thought
knew
that
was
too.
one, or at least I always remembered it being one. But that's mainly because I have some right here. So
Okay, now Oscar Mayer. Everybody
uh,
sing the little tune. My
it's
bunny has a.
OSCAR, it's MEYER.
Okay, so it's never been Meyer. It's
Yeah.
always been
Oh.
Mayer. Now, like you, Josh, I think of Meyer.
It's
Even my parents,
HOMER. Sorry.
yeah, even my parents think that. So
Damn.
again,
Okay.
it's one of those freaky things. Let's see.
Mandela effect's so cool though. Like the idea that we can manipulate each other's memories by doing shit.
Oh,
It's just crazy.
oh,
What happened?
Josh.
Oh,
Are you gonna do Monopoly, Brian?
Did I have him on here? Let me see.
Monopoly.
Yes, I do. I
No.
do. Here,
Dude, pull the Monopoly one up for Josh.
We'll do
This
that
always
one.
blew. This one always blew my mind.
Okay, now when you think of the Monopoly guy, he's got his top hat,
What
He's
else
got
does he
his-
have, Josh?
Monocle.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
monocle.
That's all I
Okay,
know. In a suit, I guess.
so he's never
No, he
had
never
the
had a
monocle.
monocle.
Oh.
That's the peanut.
That's
Yeah,
Ace
and
Ventura. Really, honestly, that's
Yeah,
what
that's
got
where
me.
they-
Ace Ventura, because he's and you must be the Monopoly guy.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. That's how science thinks this kind of got
Son
manipulated
of a
into our
fucking
brains.
dick.
That you
Right?
see it the whole way is because of stuff like that. What was
That's
the other
cool,
one I had?
man. But that's what's cool. Is like it's crazy to me to think that so many things
Right.
so many things
mind
could have
messes with
happened
you.
entirely differently than how we remember them. Maybe
Yeah,
not entirely
mind messes
differently,
with you.
but the small details of it could be entirely different than how we remember it. That's just crazy to me.
Now, oh,
I was trying to make the red face while Brian was doing his thing. For anybody who can see right now, this fart goblin shirt is from Department of Truth.
It's so amazing.
goblin. Okay, how about Kit Kat,
What do you mean?
the delicious chocolate treat? So how is it spelled when you think of it?
KIT.
KIT dash KAT, like
Yeah.
kit dash cat.
You're right. That's the way I remember it too, but it's never been that way.
Motherfucking,
Oh yeah, no
motherfucking,
dash.
So
mother.
they say. I don't know. Again,
I'm about to go
why?
buy some Kit Kats, dude.
And it seems to be people of a certain generation tend to remember it one way, and then the
See,
other
and I'm
generations
straight up
don't.
wondering if they're messing with us and they had the dash and then they took it out. You little sons of fuck.
Like when I did this, I even started going. I was like, Kit Kat logo evolution, just so you could see what it looked like when it first came out, all the way to current,
Now,
and
yeah,
it's
And
never had
never
the
had the
dash in it,
dash.
wow, lion sex
and I
shit.
don't like it.
I don't like it.
It's too scary. Now this one I do know about. So
Oh, is he frozen?
I think we got a couple minutes on you, on Brian. I think we're
C3PO.
yeah.
Okay,
Ooh,
back.
losing you a little bit.
Okay,
No, we're good.
now this one I did know about. So C3PO,
Yeah.
has he always been gold?
Well, it depends on how you look at it. Like technically, no, but oh, the leg.
Yeah. Now he's not. He is gold in the later ones, but in the early ones he had a silver leg. I can't remember what the reasoning was for him not being complete with
So
Anakin
as I say is like
and
technically you could chalk that up to he wasn't complete yet or whatever. But like, yeah, I don't remember ever seeing him with a silver leg.
well, I do remember seeing it, but that was I think I saw that years ago, even before the Mandela effect became an actual thing. So
Okay, okay.
let's see. I don't know. Okay, the Fruit of the Looms. When you think of Fruit of the Looms
I
logo, what do
I
you
think I've
see?
seen this one. I
Yeah,
think I've seen this one. Well, fruit mainly.
yeah,
Um,
and the cornucopia.
cornucopia. Yeah,
But
I've never had a
apparently
Yeah.
cornucopia. Yeah,
that's never been there either.
yeah. I think
So
I have heard of just a couple of these. I thought you were gonna say like fruit of the loom, like Fruit Loops
Fruit O.
or
Oh yeah,
Loops, like
that
fruit.
is another one. Supposedly, it's a lot of people think it was spelled FROOTLOOPS, but it's actually fruit and then loops. Now, this is one I was never really good at because I didn't watch Pokemon. So when you think of Pikachu
Hmm.
and his lightning bolt tail, where's the lightning bolt at?
His ass? Like, what do you mean?
No, the tail, like the black mark on his tail.
Oh, wait. Like his tail isn't. It's yellow and then it's like brown towards the tip, like, or it's
Right,
the other way
right.
around. I don't know.
So it's never been this way. It's always been at the base of his tail.
Brown at the base. Yeah, I knew there wasn't black, but yeah, the
Well,
brown. I couldn't remember if the brown was at the base or the head. So,
yeah,
but
because
yeah, I
I'm
get
not
what you're
good.
saying. I
Pokemon, I
get
was
what you're
never good
saying.
at, so I always thought it was this, but
To be honest with
that's
you, I've
because
always thought of it being the right one, the brown one, the one with the brown at the
did you?
base there. Yeah,
That was one I
that's
never
crazy
really.
though to think that I didn't realize that people thought otherwise on that one.
Now these, I guess we really don't have to. I guess we can. I was gonna pull up some movie quotes that, which
Oh. ET phone home is not ET phone home. It's
what
ET
is it?
home phone.
Yep.
Home phone?
Yeah.
Shut
It's
up.
well, there's a Jaws, the Jaws one.
Now he says ET home phone, and then they respond like ET phone home. Is that what he said? ET phone home. ET phone home.
Okay, home
So
phone.
Mine was always the Jaws one. Everybody says we're gonna need a bigger boat when it's actually you're gonna need a bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always knew
Yep.
that too. You're
Yep.
gonna need a bigger boat, but I mean they're all together, so
He
that's
also
why.
said he also never. It's never Luke. I am your father. It's no. I am your father.
Right.
Yep.
He's like my
Now,
father's dead. He goes
I
no. I am your father.
now I was
That's
gonna
not
do that
true.
one.
That's impossible.
Good old Mark Hamill acting right there.
Hey.
So
Daddy. Hey, he's still the best Joker.
Oh, hands down.
yeah.
Still the best Joker in my opinion.
So we are the champions by Queen. How does that end at the very end of the song? We are the champions. Well, here. I already got it pulled up. We'll just fucking do it.
Because we are the champions of the world. Is that what you're saying? The of the world part? I don't know. I can't hear it. Just so you know,
Not
I
too
can't
loud.
hear it. I can't hear it. Can't hear it at all.
No, but it's gonna show the words.
Oh. Because we are the champions
Bum bum.
of your girl. What?
So he's never they never said it. They've never said it.
Of the world?
of the world at the very end. Yeah,
Oh,
they've
at the
never said
very
it.
end. But they do say it during the song though, right?
Nope. Never during the song
Ooh.
either.
See, I couldn't hear it. I couldn't hear it, so I have to go back and listen to that.
You couldn't hear it? Son of a
No, for some
bitch.
reason I couldn't hear the audio. It popped up with the lyrics, but I couldn't hear the audio. So I assume that's what you were trying to say anyway. But
Yeah.
ooh,
Could you hear it, Matt?
I'm bringing up some
No,
stuff right now.
I just see
Okay.
the words though.
That's all right though. It's a
Well,
We
that
get it. We get it.
sucks.
We get it. We
That's
get it.
something we're gonna have to figure out.
We get it. We
Okay,
get
well
it. We
then
get it.
I'm not gonna do the other ones then, because the other ones was gonna be Hannibal
Big fan.
Lecter when he meets Clarice for the first time. What does he say?
Hello, Clarice.
Right, and that's what everybody thinks, but he doesn't say that. He just says good morning. I mean,
Mhm.
which makes sense. He's never met her before. I still think that's what he said, but since he never met her before, how would he know who she is?
He's fucking
Um,
Hannibal fucking Lecter, bro.
right.
She
Now,
used a super intellect on me, man. She's like Hannibal Lecter.
I was gonna show that since you were talking about the "No, I am your father." There's
Yes.
actual interviews with James Earl Jones where he actually does say, "Luke, I am your father." He did it like 3 different times, talking about how when he was reading the script and all that stuff that he said, "Luke, I am your father."
I'm sorry,
But
but Tommy Boy always pops up to me.
That's why most people remember it that way.
I am your father.
What I've heard is that's one of the reasons why most people
that,
remember it that way. Is because of that scene.
yeah, exactly. That's how it works. And then the last one I was going to do was Snow White and the Mirror, Mirror on the
And the
Wall.
57 dwarfs. Who was the
But
fairest
she
of
ac-
them all?
but she actually says magic mirror on the wall.
Oh, what?
Yeah,
Like Magic Mike? I don't know.
Magic
That's
Mike.
stupid.
So that
Uh,
was my little piece with the Mandela effect and CERN and their giant hadron collider, and how a lot of people think that it can cause earthquakes, all sorts of mini black holes, time travel. Time travel is the big thing with the God particle.
Dude,
That's what
like
they're trying to accomplish, which
that
would be
sounds
badass.
cool, man. Well, dimensional travel too, man. I don't know,
Right.
just the idea of going to another
They're trying
other
to
dimension,
turn
but it's
the
so
Marvel
usually
and
it's
DC
not real.
multiverse to a reality.
Yeah.
Be like the 52.
Yep. I do
So that's
52.
my aspect. That's it.
Cool. Hell yeah. Matt, bro.
So I'm going to talk about a couple of big things that happened involving video games this past week. I normally talk
Whoa.
I normally talk about books and movies and everything, but I'm going to jump into video games this week because that's definitely one of the things that we do. So there was a big update to the Call of Duty franchise. I'm not really going to get into
Boo.
too much of the Black
play Call of
Ops.
Duty.
But I am going to talk about a little bit about Warzone. So I'm not going to talk about the ship because that kind of gets overblown.
It
Everybody's
was
talking about
such a letdown.
but one of the really cool things that not a lot of people realized, and I mean, Josh, you can attest to this because it last night, I did talk to you about it. So one thing that they did in Warzone was on Cold War weapons. Before this update, you could. There's a lot of people that did it, but one of the biggest guys that I follow that I watched every time after a new season comes out, his name is J God, and he goes through and he does hours of tests and analytics and everything on all the updates and everything. But what I found out, and this is a credit to him, is that they completely redid the barrels, the grips, and the tips of Cold War guns. So before this, you would have hidden stats. So like a barrel, so like the GRU suppressor would do like bullet velocity and speed and everything, but a hidden part of it was that it gave you better range. But now, and he actually has videos online. I suggest you checking them out if you want to know more.
What's his name again?
His name's J God, so JGOD. And so he did a specific test involving a sniper rifle. I think it was the Tundra, involving the GRU suppressor, where you could literally see the bullet just drop. I mean, probably after 200 yards, if that. I mean, it just boom drops. And before this, with the bullet velocity and the distance, it went straight. I mean, it had no drop. And so like, and then the other things that come to mind are like grips. So like on the Mac 10, there was a lot of grips that did things that it didn't. It said it did one thing, but it actually did something else. And so like Josh had this Mac
Dude.
10 build that he found
Well, there
online.
was this online build, yeah, that had mobility through the
Yeah.
roof, like it
And
was
so
past the mark.
So I jump online with him last night. I'm like, let's run and gun. I'm going to build a Mac 10. He's like, well, I already got a Mac 10 build. I said, well, you need to go in and check it because it's not going to be the same.
And I didn't right away. I just ran regular with it, and it did
Yeah.
feel a little bit different. I didn't realize
Yep.
that.
And then afterwards, he jumped in and he checked it, and the mobility was off the charts. Now it was way back down. And so that was that hidden those hidden stats that weren't actually supposed to be there. They took all those out. Another one was
the hidden stats were already in place, and
yeah,
with the
so
update they took them away.
Yeah, so like
Okay.
now literally the whatever it says it does, it actually does. Whereas before, so like the barrel, the PKM barrel, that's mainly on LMGs, especially the one that comes to mind is the RPD. So the PKM barrel is a shortened barrel, and it said that I think it said like it did bullet velocity or something like that. But even though it's a shortened barrel, it actually gave extensive distance and extra damage. And so like now it's literally they went through and redid all of the barrels, the tips, and the grips on the Warzone guns to where they do exactly what they say. There is no hidden stat that's not listed. And so like I said, if you want to know more, I definitely recommend this guy. His name's J God. He does every time that there's an update, man. He goes through and I mean, he's got charts and analytics that map everything. And I think he also uses another website that you can actually go to physically look at him. So it's not a video. It's like Warzone tips and tricks or something like that. But
Probably Discord.
J God, that's the one that really pointed that out to me. And I think there's not a lot of people who really are talking about that. So like,
I'm gonna have to check my guns now.
yeah, definitely. If you
Definitely
used
a
Warzone
Black Ops
or Black Ops guns,
Oh, okay, it's just Black Ops guns.
yeah, just Black Ops guns.
Okay,
So,
okay.
but still, if you used Black Ops guns, make sure you go
That
in there
Mac
and check
10.
because, yeah, Josh, the perfect
Mac 10 's
example was his
hella
Mac
nerfed
10.
now. It's hella nerfed.
Well, it's not even that it's nerfed. It's
No,
the
but I mean,
attachments are
the attachments
fixed.
aren't as good. Yeah. Well,
Right.
in
They're-
terms, make them not quite as good because of the fact
Right.
that they don't have the extra stuff to them.
Right. So, I mean, and Josh, you even looked. That thing was off the chart, and when you came back to it, I guarantee it was back down to like normal, basically. And I mean, it's just it's a good thing for the game, in the fact that you always wondered why certain guns got meta, and the reason why. Harley, stop.
The reason why.
The reason why some of these guns got meted was because of the hidden traits. And so, like, you could sit there and ask yourself, well, I'm using the DMR. Why isn't it a two-tap, real quick gun? And everything like that. Or the Mac 10, why it wasn't, as fast as some of these other guys. And that's because of the build. And
Yeah.
you could go in and be the most talented player, but if you didn't follow these builds, you weren't gonna have the same thing. So, but that also leads me into the second big news that happened this past week, and that was GameStop involving the GameStop stock. Now, let me preference this part by saying I am not a licensed trader. I'm not trying to give you any type of advice that is professional. So I will start there. And what I will say is, sorry, hang on.
Here, can
So I will start and say that like I said, I'm not a I'm not a financial manager. This is personal opinions. But I will say that GameStop, anybody following the stock, it shot up again for one night only, or one late day, one night only, and that's because they announced that the CEO was stepping down.
I think it was a financial
CFO
manager or something. Like that.
I think it was. Then it was the CFO.
Yeah.
So now they came out with a GameStop came out with an announcement shortly after that they were looking for somebody to take them more into a digital lead, and that made the stock shoot up. Now, I talked about this before we started recording with Josh, and my concern with that is that this is awesome. It's really cool that a lot of young people are trying to make this business survive, but it's like Blockbuster. It reminds me so much of Blockbuster. Remember that Blockbuster was it. It was the only thing for movies, and then Netflix came out and all these streaming platforms, and at the last minute Blockbuster tried to get in on,
Tried, yeah.
and it went horrible.
Just too
I
little,
mean,
too late.
right. And so
Yeah.
my thing is, there's a lot of people who are pointing to that and going, "Oh, that is why they're going to stay alive. That is why we're going to buy in. That is why they're going to keep skyrocketing." And I'm telling you, man, with what Steam, with Microsoft
Fucking Game
Store,
Pass, dude. Game
Game
Pass through
Pass,
Xbox
with Sony's got a Game Pass with PlayStation.
PlayStation Now
And-
is what's
right. And I get that Microsoft bought GameStop, and that everybody's trying to use that as a tool as well. I'm telling everybody to be very careful.
Don't they still have
And
Reggie from Nintendo as their CEO?
I'm not
So it's
sure.
like they're owned by Microsoft, got a Nintendo
Right.
CEO.
Well, and so like and that leads me to what happened also. This was on Thursday morning, so like Wednesday night it went up, Thursday morning it started to go down a little bit. But what happened also Thursday morning was there's a esports gambling company, and I'm not going to be able to tell you their name. I'd have to look it up.
I think
But
it's actually just called Gamble. Is GMBL
that's
stock name?
well, GMBL is the name on Robinhood, right? So they said, hey, GameStop, why don't you buy us? That way we can merge. And that, honestly, that is the only thing that I could see saving GameStop, is them purchasing a kind of gambling site that they can help manage. Because like I said, as much as I love GameStop and as much as it's been a crucial part of my childhood, the only thing saving it right now is younger people, our age and younger, that are holding it up by the life, and they're refusing to sell. And I get that. That's awesome, but just be careful if you're wanting to invest. And one of the notes that, or the news that came out from this also was, I was one of those people who's like, man, there's still 45% of the stock that's being bet to short. Well, if you look into that, yes, there's still 45%, which is still astronomical compared to every other stock. Like most other stocks, it's like 1 to 5%. But they learned from January. And so they're putting less money into those bets and betting on other stocks as well, rather than putting all of it on one stock like what they did in January. And that forced them to then turn around and have to buy the stock to make money back and short sell it. It's different this time, and that's why it didn't go as high up as it did in January, because all those big whales that bet against it, they said, I don't have as much invested in this as I did before. I leveled it out to where I've got it in other stocks as well. So I'm not going to freak out and try to buy into
Lose
this.
billions of dollars like they did
Right.
last time. Yeah.
Right. So I'll admit, I got in. I know, Josh, you got a little bit in.
Dude.
And
so at one point when it was back down, it was down to like $55, $54 a share. It jumped. The highest I saw it jump to was $100.
It jumped to 200 overnight.
Shit.
At
And
one
then,
point, it jumped to
I want
200.
to say now it's leveled back down to about 95 or so. I think
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
somewhere in there.
And that's still amazing at $95 That
Right.
seems to be hopefully the bottom. But I
Right.
mean, it's just, if you gotta be careful, and like it's all timing. And I was being told by somebody who bought in on the first round of GameStop and made a lot of money. They're like, no, hold. Well, I mean, I waited for about 5 minutes, 9:35,
Dude,
and I sold it. And
it immediately started dropping when it went
Yeah.
live. Yeah.
Yep. And so like that's the thing that you have to wage. And this is what I say whenever anybody asks me, or anybody wants to know my opinion on things. I'm like, man, look, don't ever put any money in. I don't count that money as being there. I count that money as being lost, that I've already lost it. That way I don't concern myself with it on if I do lose it, because
Right.
it's just like gambling, especially if you're not doing the long term investment. Like I've got a couple of long term investments that I'm not going to touch for 6 months to a year, if not years,
Right.
that I'm betting on their future. But if you're going to play the games that they play with GameStop, man, be very fucking careful.
I actually put a little bit in on that gamble on esports, the gamble one. Put a
Yeah,
little bit, just a little
yeah,
bit, just to see
and
what
I mean,
happened.
right? Well, and I mean, dude, if they fucking bought them, dude, that would be the only reason why I would get back into GameStop,
Right.
and actually keep some money into it, because like I don't see it. I don't see how they can get into the digital game now. I mean, there's just so many
Well,
other
the
ways.
problem with the biggest problem, honestly, with the digital game is that they don't make anything off of it. I don't know how they would
Yeah,
go about making it profitable on their end, because the
Yeah.
whole point of their where they make their money is through used games.
yeah.
On a brand new game that sells for $60, they buy it for like $55.
Let
And
me let me. Hey, before you go any further, I want to
yeah.
preface this with the fact that Josh actually works at
Oh, yeah.
GameStop, has
Well,
worked at
worked
GameStop
worked
throughout
at
his life.
GameStop. Technically,
Well,
not
but
worked
but
there.
has
Worked
worked
there
there
for a
on
year.
and off,
Yeah.
worked on and off throughout his life, so he knows what he's talking about when he says
Yeah.
this. Go ahead.
Yeah. So first of all, there's one thing I would really like to address is the fact that I hate when people get so pissed off at the trade values of their games.
Right.
First of all, the moment you open it, it
It's
loses
50%.
value.
Yeah,
Yeah.
$50 easily.
Anything is like that.
Hmm.
Drive a
Anything
car off the lot.
anywhere is like that.
Yep.
But I had a manager one time who put it into perspective for me in the best way that's ever been for me personally. So this is the only way I can explain it in a way that made sense to me. So let's say you buy the $60 game. Let's say you come back the next week, you want to trade it back in. Let's say we give you I'm not we anymore. Let's say they give you $30 for it. Okay. You're like, fuck, you only gave me half of what I paid for it. Okay. Let's say that game's not very popular. So it sits on the shelf. And yeah, they put it up for $55 because that's how they make their money. But let's say nobody wants it. A month later, it goes down to 50. A month later, it goes down to 45. A month later, it goes down to 30.
Yeah.
At that point, they're not making money off of it. And when they're
Well, and they have
buying
overhead. Yeah.
thousands of games like this, and if they buy 50 copies in one day of one game, the next day it's not going to be worth as much because they've already got 50 copies in that store. They're not going to want it anymore because nobody wants it anymore. Anyway, that's not the point. I'm sorry. I get
No.
so mad at
No.
people getting so upset about the
No.
trade value.
No, and that is part of the point, is that like this same crowd who has the biggest problem with that is trying to buy into
Game
GameStop being the
digitally.
future of gaming. And
Right.
it's like you can't pick and choose. Like you can't bitch about getting the lowest amount of money you can for a video game that they're going to try to resell. They have overhead. They own most. Well, they probably rent most of the stores, like where they're located.
Right.
But still, they still have rent. They still have to pay their employees. They have insurance that they have to pay. They have workers' comp that they have to pay. They have taxes they have to pay. Like, and they're taking a risk that they're going to be able to sell that game
Right. Right.
at a higher price.
And
So
all I was trying to get at is that their money making has to come from because of the fact that when they buy and sell a new game, when they sell a game for $60, I want to say, and I'm not 100% on the price, I
yeah,
want to say that they spend 55,
yeah.
$57 or
Well,
something like that. So they
well, and I
literally
was at
make like $2 off
yeah,
of any brand new
and
game that's sold.
yeah, and I worked at Fry's Electronics. And I'll tell you that I worked in the video game section for about a year. And I mean, it's not very much money. And the only way that it becomes a little bit more money is so basically what happens is Epic Games or whoever made the game, EA, whatever, they say, hey, we want to set it at a lower price point. So we're going to refund you a half of your money that you paid for it. And we're going to have you charge 75%. So that's the only time that it goes from making $2 to $5 to now it's $40, but nobody wants the damn thing. But now
Right.
you only paid 30 for it, or 20, or 25 for it. And
Right.
so like there, and that's the problem, is that what a lot of people understand with the GameStop business model is that it was when PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and PlayStation 3, during those years, that was their money making years. And now they're at a point where it's so much easier to get a game. I'm one of those. I want the DVD, I want the case, I want the Blu-ray, I want the case.
I go
But
back and forth. I'm kind of
right,
mixed
but
back.
but
There's
also
some
at the
that,
same time, it's so much easier. And a lot of the younger generation, they
dude,
don't need that stuff.
like
Well, they want us.
there is so much of an easy factor of I don't want to get up to put in another disc, so I can just
Right.
click this and suddenly
But at
I'm
the
in the
same
other game.
time,
Boom. Like,
if they do that, guess what? There is no trade-in value. You don't
right,
get to trade
exactly.
in the
That's what I was
digital
trying to get
version.
at. That's what
You're
I was
Yeah.
trying
done
to get at
there.
is they make the
Yep.
majority of their profits from the used games.
And if
So
Right.
unless they come up with some sort of solution of taking some percentage off of every digital sale, they have to.
right,
I mean, I have to.
yeah,
Right.
Obviously, they have to, but they
Now,
would have to make it a pretty substantial
yeah,
percentage
it
to be
would,
able to make up for
and
that.
and
Like,
the only way that I see that happening is possibly if Microsoft for some reason gets rid of their Microsoft store and it becomes the GameStop store.
nah,
But I don't. Why would they do that?
yeah,
And
they'd
and
just be
so
piggybacking off of
right, and
Xbox,
so
Microsoft.
right, and so like the big picture here. I talked about the Warzone updates and everything, but my bigger thing is with the GameStop thing. Just it is
just be
my
careful.
humble, yeah, it's my humble
Yeah,
opinion. And like I said, I'm not a financial expert. I got into, I call it gambling, but I got into stocks
it is
just
a
this
gamble.
year,
It
and it
is a
is,
gamble.
yeah, yep. And
Yeah.
and I got into stocks this year, and my advice would be if don't put more money in than what you are okay with having zero come back. Like as soon as you put it in there, just say to yourself, it's not there. Don't bet on it being there.
And don't
So
put a
that you
lot of money
don't,
in there unless you
yeah.
have a lot of money to
Because,
put in
and I'll
there.
tell you, Josh, I'll tell you, Josh, I guarantee, and Brian, I guarantee you that reports are going to come out in the next few weeks that there were a lot of people that lost their ass
Yeah.
on this most recent one. I think I
Um,
should have been in at fucking 60, but it all
right.
froze. It froze like 4 fucking times.
Right. They
But
actually
I
they
still,
mentioned something about how that happened. It got
yeah,
frozen for everybody for a little bit.
yeah, I still got in at a point to where I was able to make a profit, but I guarantee you that a lot didn't, because a lot sat there and said, "Man, it went up to 435 last time. They're talking about going into the digital platform. It's going to skyrocket." Because I was partially in that boat, and
Right.
it was a very tough decision for me. Do I stay or do I go? And I am so glad that I went when I did, because it's just so volatile, and you got to be careful. So that's my soapbox for the week.
I was about to
I
say,
know
yeah, we're
last time.
about to the point where we're gonna have to start wrapping up here.
Yep, I know last time I said I was going to do the Nightwing thing, and I'm going to try to do that next time. I'm going to talk about how I,
That's
I
cool.
think that and hope that this upcoming Batman movie is Nightwing. But
It's
I'm also, man,
fun to go
When's
one
it
into a
coming
long
out?
topic. Tomorrow.
no, it's not for a while, but I'll tell you,
I don't
the
know.
film that I'm looking forward to is next month, and that's the Return of the Titans. It's 60 years in the making. It's been 60 years since they fought,
What are you
and
talking
that's
about? Oh, Godzilla
Zilla,
versus Kong. Yeah.
Zilla versus
Oh,
Kong. I mean,
Uh,
I
yeah,
I'm
HBO Max.
yeah.
man, I'm
Uh,
I'm excited for that.
the one thing too, I'm not going to go into this, but I am the only one of the three of us who has watched this. WandaVision is getting better and better with every episode. They have 8 out of the 9 episodes left, or 8 out of the 9 episodes done. So there's one episode left, and I just watched the eighth episode last night, and it is phenomenal. The eighth episode pretty much explains everything that is going on in the season, why it's all happening, and all that.
Hey, Josh, you want to tell them
Phenomenal.
about how you finished?
I finished what? Oh, it looks like we lost Matt a little bit here. Brian,
Yeah, I'm here.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
I can't hear
Um,
him.
I want to say
It
he's
said his
talking about.
bandwidth
I
is
want to say
low.
he's talking about Raised by Wolves is what I'm going to assume he's talking about. And I did finish Raised by Wolves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did
Oh,
finish
yeah.
Raised by Wolves.
That
It
was-
is nuts. It is crazy.
and
It
it's
is.
not anything that you think it is on that first
It's
like
it is
45 minutes of the first episode.
no
Like,
for the whole first episode. Really, it's not till the very end of the first
yeah,
episode that you're just like, holy shit. Okay,
that was
What was
worth
that on?
it. That was
yeah,
worth it.
yeah. Dude, that's what
Raised
pissed
by
me off. I was again so mad at myself
It's
because
what
I
I talked
watched it.
about a long time ago.
Watched the first like 30 minutes of the first
And you're like,
episode and was like,
oh.
yeah, this is kind of boring. I'm good. Yeah, and then just dude,
After I talked about it, I'm like, dude,
entirely different
dude,
after that.
watch it. And Brian, I
yeah.
think you would really, really like it. So
What's it on again?
It's
on
HBO.
HBO.
Max. HBO
yeah,
Okay.
Max.
it's Raised by Wolves. It's
Raised by Wolves.
James.
It's Ridley
It's
Scott.
not James.
Tony Scott.
Yeah, Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott. Yeah.
Ridley Scott. Oh
Which
hell
Ridley
yeah, I love
Scott's
that.
that's
Then.
still alive.
Now, Brian, preface this. You have got
Tony
to
Scott.
go. You've got to go through the first episode. So, like, the
Oh, I
first
will.
episode is very
It's slow
slow.
to start off.
I do that with
dude.
every
but-
series.
Dude, and not only that though.
Oh,
Yeah, once it starts taking off, it gets crazier and crazier throughout the season.
Yeah.
And then the end of it is just fucking nuts.
yeah.
Yeah, but okay. Well, we're gonna go ahead and
Alright.
end it there. Anybody need anything to wrap up with? Anything? Oh, if you are watching, if you can see, this is this lovely. I updated the comics I got on my wall back here. This is Rise of
I
Kylo
noticed.
Ren. This is the actually the first appearance of Avar Chris, who is in the Light of the Jedi, High Republic stuff. So this is why I have this guy. It's the first appearance of her. And this is Death Metal #4, which, if you can see it, is signed by Scott Snyder right here. Because I recently got his Kickstarter package that I added a signed comic to. But I just
Hey,
looked at the cover.
Didn't you just have something happen with him
His-
here
his-
recently?
Kickstarter. So
No.
I
The
helped
tweet.
fund his Kickstarter campaign. Yeah, I helped fund his Kickstarter campaign for his comic called Noctera. I backed it, which if you get a chance to check that out. God, I'm talking too long though.
right.
Noctera. If you get a chance, check it out. It comes out next week. I backed his Kickstarter, which actually I managed to. Yeah, we'll talk about that. I can talk about that next time actually. So for now, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you guys so much. Anybody who did listen and managed to stick through the whole thing, thank you guys so much. For listening. And if you guys ever want, like I said, we got the cowsden.com website, which actually does have an email link in there. My voice cracked. Does have an email link in there. That link
There's something
goes
you want to talk to us
link
about?
goes to me. You can always send me an email on that link. You can always send me anything if you guys have recommendations, if you have questions, anything you want us to talk about, anything you want to correct us on too. I don't mind some constructive criticism. Like if someone comes in and is like, well, actually this is what happened in this.
That's what the whole internet does, isn't it?
Exactly. So, and I don't mind that. But yeah, if you want to go to thecowsden.com, that's mostly just for my blog right now. I'm trying to get set up to where we can add some pictures and stuff from each episode on there too. So we'll try and get that going. But it does have a link to an email. You can always shoot me something on that email. There's also at the Cows Den 1 on Twitter, Cows Den on Instagram, and the Cows Den on Facebook. I'm on all of those. So, and that's usually me keeping track of those. So if you ever want to send me something, feel free. But yeah, until next time, thanks for watching, listening, whatever you guys want to do, everybody with that. All right. Later, guys.
Later.